That got really quiet. Hey, I'm in the back real quick, but to help set the tone, we're going to show the recap video again, and then we will dive on in. Sure. All right. Well, hey, thank you. Well, that was bright. Thank you for coming this evening. We have most of our team up here. As you can see, we want to provide an opportunity and a time for them to share about the trip that you guys sent us on, that you allowed us to go, whether you were a parent allowing Shannon, Melissa, and I to take your son or daughter in the middle of a pandemic across an international border, whether you gave freely and generously, or you were lifting us up in prayer, or for some, all three of those are a combination. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity. One of the questions I've gotten a lot over the last month since we've been back, which is crazy how quickly it goes: how did this trip compare to the last one? You can't compare them. Serve in 19 was great. This trip, dubbed Mission 21 in 2021, was great also. It was very different. It began about a year ago. I was having lunch with a couple youth pastor friends, and I said, hey, I think I might go to Mexico next summer with some students. They're like, oh, we'll go. And so two of my friends, Tim and Westcott. Tim is the youth pastor down at Journey Church in Federal Way, and Westcott's the associate pastor at Little Rock Community Church down kind of near Great Wolf Lodge. We spent the next couple months throwing together the first couple pieces of what could this look like? What does it mean right now? And many people thought we were crazy. We thought we were crazy. But we operated under the idea of we will continue to move forward with this as long as God provides open doors and answers to prayers. And as you can see, he did just that, and we were able to go on this incredible experience with this wonderful group up here. We had our group of 14 plus the two other churches. We had a group of 49 that headed down. We stayed with a group called Mexico Caravan Ministries that was started in the 80s with the help of Converge. So we have deep roots with Converge. They're the same organization that we partnered with in 2019 when we went to do Serve, and the same organization that Converge Northwest partners with every 3 years when they head down to Tijuana. This time was different. Last time we stayed in tents with 350 people, and this time we stayed with Caravan in their dorms. Very different experience for myself, Shannon, and Anthony, who went on the last trip as well as on this one, which is one of the reasons it's hard to compare them. This was just a really wonderful experience. Between the three churches, we built a total of 16 homes across 4 days in Tijuana. And home, as you see in some of the pictures, and I'm sure you've heard, home is a relative term. For us, they're not even glorified garden sheds. 2x4s, plywood, and a coat of paint. And we walk away thinking we're some master carpenter. But we're able to provide families with really a blessing. For many of them, this is doubling the size of the living space that they already have. And it's pretty humbling seeing where a lot of these families live, the environment, the community, and everything surrounding that. We stayed on either end at a church in California, and then one of the days in Mexico, we were able to go and visit Juan and his wife and family down in Ensenada, which was, I won't give it too much away, but a really great time for our team. But I want to provide the time. It's not just Rob's going to come up here and talk about the trip. I really want our crew to be able to share. So there is a microphone up there, you guys. You can pass that around. I'm going to ask a couple of prompting questions. We don't need everybody to share on everything unless you really want to. We've talked a little bit when we were heading out of mission to talk about how we kind of talk about a trip like this. These are our friends, our family, our supporters, and we want to let them know some of the fun, but also some of the things that God did, some of the things that we experienced, how his life changed since then, and all of that. So someone go ahead and grab the microphone first, and we'll pass it along. Gina, go for it. I see you leaning for it. We'll make sure it's turned on. There you go. All right, Gina, that means you get to answer first. And then just let each other know, and we'll pass the mic up and down, guys. Just talk loud. Why were you excited for this trip? So applications went out last September or October. What were you looking forward to with this trip? Or maybe why did you want to do this experience?
Wait, can you hear me? Okay. I was really excited. I really wanted to go on the last mission trip, 2 years ago, but I felt like I wasn't old enough. So this time when I heard about it, I was like super excited. I thought it'd just be a really cool experience, just to be able to serve other people and see like such a different like culture and just like how they live.
Yeah, somebody else. You don't have to go just in order. We can bounce around.
The reason I went to this trip was basically like to decide my future, either like if I want to be doing missionary or instead of just staying here and just do regular stuff like other stuff. So yeah, it looks like I saw how being missionary is, and I heard from most people who's experienced, which that was really good thing and good opportunity. So yeah, that's why the reason I went.
Well, for me, the reason that I really wanted to go on this one was because in 2019 I had such a blast that I already knew, like, I have to go, I think, and I made the right choice because I definitely had a blast on this trip as well.
I had a number of reasons that I personally wanted to go. I had just being able to experience other cultures was definitely a part of it. Being part of the Great Commission, and being able to help people's lives with how they live, and being able to make it so that it's easier for them to live within their area that they live. Was just a couple of them.
Well, I was really excited to go on this trip because I like serving people and I like building things. And then all my friends were going, so I was like, oh, well, this is going to be like a perfect opportunity. So that's why I was excited.
The reason that I went on this trip is ever since I was like a kid, I've grown up and I've seen my 3 older brothers all go on missions trip, and they come back like changed and like totally different than how they were before. And part of me wanted to be able to really experience that for myself while also being able to serve and be a part of the Great Commission.
No, Josh, you have to share because Josh gave probably the most honest answer in his interview, and I've been reminding him of it for a year. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said I didn't want to talk to people.
But
but I wanted to serve, so that's why I like doing this trip, and just being able to build was good.
Well, the reason I was excited for the trip is so I got close to Jesus right after the last mission trip at summer camp, Bighorn, and I was like, dang, I didn't go on that mission trip, which I'm glad I didn't because I was not in the right space to go on that one. But I knew the next time they announced one, I would be going, and I'm very glad I did.
I went on this trip to experience something that I've never experienced before, which is like going somewhere with the intent to like serve other people, which I've never done, and just to see how I would like take that and how it would affect my life.
So Rob came into my office and said, "Hey, would you go on this trip?" And I stared at him for a minute, and then he said, "Hey, I need you to go on the trip." I said, "Absolutely." Like most of these guys, and it gives me a lot of pride to see their hearts in how they have approached going on this trip. But like a lot of these guys, I was built to serve, and that doesn't matter whether it's here or in Mexico or on the moon. God built me to serve, and it's been fantastic to see how many of these guys are built to serve in that same mode, that humble attitude.
Shannon likes to serve so much. On the last build day, he comes up to me, he's like, I wonder if I've done too much on the jobs this week. Like, no, man, it was awesome. Yeah, so I love that heart. As you can see, this desire to serve, to represent God, to, like Toby said, to be part of the Great Commission, to go. This was the mindset that our team showed up here on a Saturday at 3:45 in the morning. I was not in charge of booking tickets. That was Westcott. And we went. And that was the attitude that this team carried the entire way through. And I know if the last couple that couldn't be here tonight, if they were here, they'd be echoing the same thing. For someone planning a trip, a mission experience like this, and have a team, each individually and then as a group say, I want to go to serve. That's really encouraging to me to be able to put this team together and get ready to go, and just very exciting. We're not going to worry so much about the California days. The California days were great. We ate a lot of In-N-Out and swam in someone's pool, so that was cool. I really want us to focus on those core days in Mexico, and we don't need everybody to share. Just pass it around every couple people. What were the things that you noticed first as we drove from San Diego and arrived at Caravan? So I was including the border. It was about 2 hours from the time we pulled out of the church or left Balboa Park and pulled up to Caravan. What was that progression like for you?
One of the first things I noticed was the smell was like completely different. The smell of like burnt trash, which I was not expecting at all. Like we're in California and we get to the border and I didn't know what this smell was. It was the weirdest thing. And then secondly, as we're driving through Tijuana, is the buildings are completely different. Like I didn't see organized neighborhoods or like organized buildings. Most of the buildings were just like their own creative structures, which was cool.
We got to see people with guns, like they're military, all over the place, which you don't really normally see here in the States. Like they were just driving up and down the streets. They were just standing on the sidewalks. So it's kind of crazy.
One interesting thing to note was kind of the roads actually, how different either the main roads tend to be paved. Definitely looked generally a bit thinner, but especially when you get off kind of the main roads, you just get to either gravel or dirt. And another cool thing was they did actually have things like baseball fields there, but they're just dirt fields with edged by tires, and they used tires in so many different cool ways down in Mexico. It was quite interesting to see.
I mean, you can see within just a short span of time, we're at this church in San Diego, and we jump in the cars and head to a park and do our own church service, and we get out of the cars at the border, and like Benji said, and all these people, like the smells and the sounds are already different, and it's this weird transition. And then you cross, and some things still look similar. But as you go further into Tijuana, and especially the area we were, which was around the backside of a mountain kind of on a second half of Tijuana, there's these transition points that are very interesting that really further, as if getting on a plane and leaving wasn't enough and showing up with palm trees, really furthering, we're not home. This is not familiar. We don't know where we are. And even right there, new experiences for a lot of us. Who here had never been out of the country before? Raise your hand. Cooper doesn't know. Shannon, has Cooper been out of the country before? No, you haven't, Cooper. Who? Oh, he's not here. Dallas had never even been on a plane before. So right away in this trip, brand new experience for him. I think he slept through most of it, but that's all right. But we see these different transition points. And then we show up at Caravan. Can a couple of you talk about Caravan, who was there, what staying there was like throughout the week?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. Caravan was quite interesting because I was thinking about it as an organization. At least my misconception was that it was, I was thinking that it was larger than it actually was. And really it's just this, the place where we're staying just has a few people who are just kind of leading, and then just like, was it like 8 interns? Just like college age people who were there for several months, and that was quite interesting to see how the group was. That was not exactly what I expected.
When we got there, it was, I don't know, pretty surprising. I had heard from Colton about Caravan before, and when he would say interns, in my mind, that was like business people with like briefcases and stuff. And they definitely weren't that. They were just like a bunch of people that would come and they like help build with us, and they're like doing a lot of the work themselves and stuff, and really, I guess, being like servant leaders. I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't remember the word.
So the interns at Caravan, so Caravan is a local on-the-grounds company or organization in Tijuana that a lot of what they do is bring groups in to help them build and coordinate a lot of that. And they have a whole team, even several full-time people that deal with that, but their biggest crew is their interns. I did not either see a briefcase anywhere, so I don't think they were those types. Not really a gap year program because that has some connotations to it that Caravan doesn't want to have for their interns. Think of it as a pre-missionary training experience. So these interns come for either 6, 9, or 12 months, and they're living at the dorms, they're leading groups, but the big part of it is they are diving into intentional biblical study and missions work. And many of them will go on to go to mission schools and head out across our country, across Mexico, and really across the world to be able to support, equip, and be missionaries themselves. Now, not all of them go on to do that, as it is with any program like that, but several of them do each time. And a lot of them are between maybe high school and college, don't really know what I want, but I feel God put something on my life. Sometimes there's some that are on the other side of college, some are in between. And this group was really unique because most of them started in February of 2019, or 2020, sorry. They started in the winter of 2020, and they were only there for approximately 2 months before getting sent home. And they spent the following 4 to 6 months unsure if Caravan would reopen, unsure if they would be able to go back as interns. And so many of them, on the one hand, said, I've been an intern with Caravan for 18 months. Half of that, they've been at home wondering and praying about what's going to happen next. So really a tremendous organization, as mentioned earlier. I mean, Steve goes way back with Caravan. He knows the crew there. They've been a part of Converge for a long time, and they're connected to a lot of different discipleship and missionary training schools. So what was the experience like staying there? We weren't camping. It's not like camp. We were cozy.
One of the more interesting things that I noticed, well, it was just there, but the water would get shut off like intermittently because to prevent or to save water, and so you'd go to the bathroom and there would be no water to flush the toilet with, so then you have to like get a bucket from under the sink. Well, this is the walk of shame, that's what I call it, because you have to go down the stairs. Everyone's downstairs in this room, and they know what you're doing. You have a bucket in your hand, and you have to go outside to the water tank, fill it up with water, and then go back upstairs and force flush the toilet. And everyone sees you do that. And then, yeah.
Yeah, walk of shame was scary. It was pretty hot because we had like a lot of fans. Or we had like 2 fans in our room, which, right? 2 fans, yeah. And the mattresses weren't like the most comfortable, but they could have been worse. So I liked the mattresses, but it was just pretty hot. Yeah, it was really hot.
Yeah, it was kind of like some places where you have like a classic kind of camp bunk things, and we were packed pretty tightly into just a few rooms, all like 6 rooms between the 50 of us.
4 rooms. 4 rooms.
4. Oh, right. Yeah. So, and it was kind of interesting because we got it pretty easy in terms of both water and temperature, where the temperature wasn't very high as it would normally be, and we actually had water 6 out of 7 days. Apparently, the previous week only had 1 of the days. So, yeah.
Yeah, we were also at half capacity. So due to COVID, they limited the number of groups that could come in. They usually house 100 people at a time. And so our group had 50, and so it was just us. And even that, each room had 26 bunk beds. So 3 high, not a lot of room, little warm at night. But so all of our guys were with Little Rock's guy crew, and then Journey's guys had their own room, and our girls were with Journey's girls, and Little Rock's girls, I think, had their own room, or maybe the other way around, I don't remember. But we were with Little Rock, and you learn a lot about people sharing a space with them. Even some of your own crew, you just learn. Zach falls asleep in a second, no matter what's going on in the room around him, no matter that it's like 90 degrees, the lights are on, and people are talking and being loud. You look over, and Westcott at one point was like, dude, does that kid have like a superpower or something? You did. So each morning and evening we would gather, and depending on the day, every morning Caravan would bring in either one of their directors to speak or a guest speaker, a missionary that they support, usually someone in the Tijuana area that would come and share. And then a couple of the evenings they would have a share, and then a couple of the evenings was just us. Why don't you guys talk about what it was like to hear those other people sharing to us about the things that they're going through and missions work and all that. Toby, you can share the mic, it's all right.
Honestly, it was the best opportunity. It's like watching real life superheroes like talking to you. It was super incredible. Like I was into them when they were talking.
Wait, hang on. What made it feel like that? Was it like just the sound of their voice was really cool? Was it what they were doing with their life? What made you look at these people and say, "Wow, this is admirable"?
Definitely their stories, and there were some of the things I was struggling and having a question, but without even me asking them while they were talking, they literally just answered it. So that was kind of incredible. And I don't know, just the way they talk, everything makes sense, and it's like adding things to my mind and getting me ready for future and everything. So that was lit, yeah.
Cool.
I thought it was really inspiring because all the interns were only like a couple years older than us, and they're doing something that was like, I feel like very different from normal. So I thought that was really cool. And they all had really cool stories, and I thought that was really inspiring to see like how different everybody's walk with God is. And like, yeah.
One thing that I noticed is a lot of the people speaking had really powerful stories, and they went through things that were like really tough, and it was interesting to be able to hear a lot of that and then see them still pursuing God and doing his work and stuff, and being able to serve happily even though there's these tragedies that they've gone through. Pretty much, it was really encouraging.
Mm-hmm. I would say where 2 years ago, a lot of the speakers that were brought into us on the ground, on the boot, or whatever, on the ground missionaries, it was a lot of, if you're not doing what I'm doing, are you even a Christian? Well, we're on a mission experience, so that already feels a little pointed, especially when they said one night, one leader said, your leaders, especially your youth pastors, are just basically Christians that have given up and you don't really need to listen. That was nice. These speakers this year were to the point, and they were encouraging, and they just shared from the heart. And Anthony and Shannon, since you guys were last, I just felt a completely different, really, spirit from them of how they were sharing. Now, maybe it's the difference in speaking to 50 versus being outside talking to 350 and try to wrangle people in, but the speakers that they brought in were gracious and inviting. They hung out, and we were able to talk to them, and there's just a lot of cool stuff that was shared. And a lot of, they're wanting to encourage missions work, but one of the things that Caravan encourages, and a lot of these speakers did, they focus a lot on John Piper and one of his sayings of send, or go, send, or disobey. And each speaker kind of keeps coming back to you're either called to go, you're called to send, or you're going to choose to disobey one of those if you're following Jesus. And hearing that from multiple people in different contexts was really helpful and really encouraging to our team to then be able to say, like, yeah, I might walk away from some speakers feeling guilty. Maybe I don't feel like God has put the call in my life to be a quote-unquote missionary, however we want to define that. But now I've received encouragement that I'm still part of the Great Commission because I can equip, I can help to send. That the way that God has built me and instructed me to do is still good. And I thought that was really encouraging and good for our group to hear. So 4 days, we were building houses, right? I want to hear that experience. Who here, side note, other than a little bit the first day until it broke, no power tools. So those homes, all muscle, and that was impressive. Who of our team was it your first time doing some serious hammering? And I'm not talking about like one nail kind of thing. Like you guys were doing a lot. Gina, good job. Zach, a little bit, yeah? How about using a handsaw and cutting 2x4s? Who has not cut 2x4s with a handsaw before like that? Cooper doesn't remember that either. Shannon, you got to help your kid out. Good grief. What about cutting sheets of plywood by hand with a handsaw? Who has done that or who has not done that before? Yeah. Let's talk about the building experiences, both your personal experience, what it was like to build. Was it hot out? How did that make you feel? What were the families like that we built for? All of that. Let's talk about our 4 build days all wrapped up.
Well, it was always really cool on every build day because there were certain things that each person excelled at.
Oh, okay.
Like this Josh guy, he liked the roof a lot, so he was up there a lot doing whatever happened on the roof. I didn't go on the roof, so I don't really know what happened up there. But Gina was the pro painter of the team, and then I was really good at hinges for some reason. But it was always cool just seeing how each person was so good in one aspect. It showed that everyone, it was like the human body, every part had a purpose to play. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, it was. The building was quite interesting because it was quite hot. It wasn't necessarily comfortable, of course, and it was definitely loud from all the hammering, and there was always some noise, but it was surprisingly fun to do during that time. Yeah, there was a lot of noise, which was for one of our members, Sydney, who's here right now, like just kind of paying more attention to the noise level. Like there was so much hammering and stuff that went on. Quite interesting.
The families were all super sweet. Everybody had I feel like the whole city of Tijuana had such a good sense of community. All the families would make sure we had food, and the first family, I was just one lady, she was super sweet, and she gave me a necklace, which I thought was the sweetest thing because it was all she had. But yeah, they're all super gracious and just helping us too.
Working in the house was was better than I expected, and after the first day I got super comfortable of not even showering and just keep working. And yeah, I got dirty and it was still fun. And yeah, I thought I would be tired, but most of the time I didn't got tired until Thursday, which is the last day of building. Yeah, and after I come here, yeah, I stopped showering like I used to because I got used to Mexico, just to be honest.
I don't know if that's the takeaway we were hoping for, but that's cool.
I would definitely agree with Zach in that it was really cool to see the whole group just kind of working together and finding their niche, where I'd be working on one thing and someone else would be working on another thing, and we'd all kind of finish up and start assembling stuff, and it's oh, I didn't even work on the hinges at all this time, but I mean, Zach and a couple others got that totally finished before many of us even started on those. So I would definitely agree that teamwork was great, that we were all able to work together like that.
Well, let's send it back down here.
As far as a work crew goes, I mentioned the humble attitude of service. Man, that shone through with these guys. I mean, I've served on a lot of different teams and asked a lot of people to do a lot of uncomfortable things. I don't recall a group that was more willing to jump in. And what Zach said is true, that we all had some places where we specialized or excelled in. But as far as a whole crew, I never heard a complaint once about, oh, I have to do that, or I don't want to get up on the roof. We had volunteers galore for anything that we asked of the kids. So these guys worked hard, and it was neat to see. From start to finish, our first day, that's a huge learning process. Some of these guys hadn't even swung a hammer before, and you're just like, okay, let me get away first. Watch where you're swinging that thing. And by the end of the week, we were a team that gelled and worked together well. And again, I think that is a testament to how the Lord is working among these guys, not just to love the people that we're serving, but to love each other. And it was such a neat thing to see. A lot of hard work, but some really, really great outcomes with it too. So I'd love to see the teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely. What they don't know, because having not gone through this before or know the process, the hinges and the painting, hinges for doors and windows, by Jackson, and painting of these houses is statistically the thing that nobody wants to do. Because everyone wants to, do the hammering and the sawing and on the roof and do kind of the big things. Each person here, if what they wanted to do was already being done by somebody else, they just started doing something else. I mean, they just would pick up paintbrushes and start painting or go work on the hinges. Like Shan said, there's just a lot of unprompting once they recognized what needed to be done. They just got it done, which was really cool. To the point where even there was one, I think it was the first day, Toby and I are standing there and I think it was Toby and I, there's not that much to do. Everything's covered. We're like, Toby's like, let's just fill up everybody's water bottle. Perfect. Also a really easy way to check to make sure everyone's drinking water. But, just like those little acts of service that lasted the whole time is really special to see in a group of teenagers when it's 85 degrees out and you're in the sun and don't necessarily want to be doing it. It was really cool. What stood out to you guys about the hospitality of the families we built for?
Well, it was always really neat because each family brought us food and drinks. We're just building, and I wasn't really expecting that. I was just expecting them to be hanging out with us. We were talking to them a bit, but it was the first day when Sylvia left for a bit. I was like, oh, okay, and then we were just building, and then she comes back with drinks, and so I was like, that's so sweet. It was so kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was spectacular because every day it was hot. We were just super tired, and then the family would pull out a cooler of drinks, especially Coke, and it was just you got to sit down and have a nice ice cold Coke while you're building. It was really nice.
So one of the things that was different this year due to COVID, in the past, one of Caravan's, not necessarily selling points, but one of the things that they work with the families on is they'll bring a team to come in and build, and the family provides lunch for the team building, which is a big sacrifice. A lot of the people, the families, it takes weeks to save the finances to be able to do that, or you have neighbors chipping in, and it's a chance for the team to have a meal with the family they're building for, which is an incredible experience, and probably the thing I was most looking forward to this time around. And Caravan asked the families that due to COVID, they not do that. And so we packed lunches every morning, some ham and cheese, Cooper's, PB&J every single day. And I think what blew us all away was the Hispanic community is one of such hospitality. You tell them, don't provide lunch. They say, okay, great. I'm going to provide everything else except lunch. And so drinks, chips, fresh fruit. Let me tell you, a banana, mango, watermelon, whatever it is, it's 80 degrees out and you've been hammering all day. Whew, That's really nice. And they just kept going and going. And even some of the interns would tell us at the end of the day, we're leaving, and they're like, just take it. Just take it with you. They bought it for you. They saved for you. They want to bless you. And it feels kind of weird at times. I know sometimes we're like, but we're here to serve and bless them, and now they're blessing us. And it's just a really cool way to see things work and to experience that culture. So 4 days we built. One day we went to Ensenada. We went down, so as many of you know, we support 2 different groups down in Ensenada. So we have a man named Speedy and his family church, and then Juan, his son, also has a church at Ensenada. And I reached out to Juan about 2 months ago. I was really waiting till, or maybe even a month before the trip. I was waiting kind of till the last minute. I was like, I don't want to say, can we come visit you? We're coming. And then have like the trip canceled or something with COVID. So I waited, and he said, come on down. So we had one day that is a ministry day. The other groups went to different areas in Tijuana to serve. And Caravan said, well, we don't do anything in Ensenada. We don't know Ensenada that well. If you want to know, or if you want to go, you're kind of on your own. Good luck. And I said, great, Ensenada is south. Let's go. And so Juan and I coordinated it, and we met down in Ensenada. We were able to spend the day with him and his family and go out to lunch and see his church. What was that whole day like for you guys?
It was definitely to see who we're supporting and just see them physically. And Speedy was pretty good at English. And sometimes he had fun jokes too. And he also, taught me things in life. And it was good to see the church they're building for the community. And
I would agree with that. That it was really cool to see how the support that Northview has been giving them has built up not only an entire church building, but then also part of Juan's house down there. And it's like, wow, it's a totally different perspective to actually be there and see it. So I definitely liked our Ensenada day.
It was quite interesting to see just kind of where they were staying at, what they had, and also kind of the difference between Tijuana and the that city where that city was more of a tourist, a little bit of tourism, more so than Tijuana where we were staying. And yes, for those of you wondering, Speedy is a very fast walker.
One of the cool things that we could see is, like our church gives money to Juan and Speedy, and outside one of the houses was this big thing, and inside they were setting up for a VBS the next week. And I thought it was really cool to be able to see like they have all the supplies out and stuff, and they're getting ready for these kids to come and like. Our church helped supply a lot of the funds necessary for that.
And by big thing, you mean their church.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? So one of the things that we did in preparation for this mission trip was in May, we took a weekend and we went away as a team to just spend some intentional time together, to talk about what the trip was like, to spend time in the Word, to pray, and to just prepare ourselves in a variety of ways. And one of the things that we did was an exercise that I said, hey, what would be really cool is if our fundraising goes well, is to be able to provide more for the families that we're going to go build for, and for Speedy and Juan. And Shannon posed the question to the team and said, what do you think they would appreciate? And what that led to, Jackson's just cruising. That's awesome. Coolest kid ever, and he's mine. Hey, bud. So you're not shy. He's like, whoa. That's amazing. But what it led to was 7 duffel bags full of stuff. Blankets, art supplies, soccer balls, all sorts of things. And we meant to give one to each family that we built for. We missed that once, but that's okay. That was on me. I forgot. But we had some special ones for Juan and Speedy that were just kind of, thanks to the money that people gave, were just full of things for them in their ministry. And we were able to walk through it and unpack it with them. Not in a way of saying, hey, Juan, look how great we are and how much stuff we brought you, but to say, our group, these teenagers, brainstormed this list of things that they think the kids of your community could benefit from. And I think, for me, the coolest moment of the trip happened at the end of that time. And I asked Speedy and Juan if our team could pray for them. And we're used to a little bit more, maybe in our church environment, like, oh yeah, sure, that'd be great. All right, a little quick prayer and we're on our way. And Speedy and Juan and Clarice get down on their knees and the team comes around them and just lays hands on them, and a bunch of the team just lift up them and their community and their church. And what I love about that, first of all, there's no photo or video from it. And I think that's beautiful. And second, that was these students lifting them up. And the connection that's made even on a spiritual level, but then just on a relational level with that was really, I think in that moment, a lot of us, once we were done there and heading back to the van, we were so full that it was like, we're good now. Like you go to serve, and then in moments like that, the Lord just fills you. And we weren't seeking it. We didn't go down there to do any of that. And it was just a really special, wonderful moment. I did lead some of them astray with what to order for lunch, though, and that's my bad. Let's talk about going out. There's a couple more questions. Going out into the community. So we went out for dinner almost every night. We went out in Ensenada. What was it like going out? We weren't working. We were just hanging out. We went and ate some tacos and different things together. What was that like?
Well, the food was really good. The seafood was questionable for some of us. But yeah, it was really interesting going around to see a lot of the restaurants and just how they do stuff differently.
Oh, Josh, it's time for you to share something.
The fish tacos were really good.
All right, that's working. All right. Yeah, there he is.
One of the restaurants was family owned. It was a father and his sons, and it was cool. The second time we went there, it looked like they were getting ready to close up. But the second they see us, the dad was just like, "No, get more out." And just the love though that they showed. And then when we all started ordering, trying our best in Spanish, which a lot of us are not good at Spanish. I mean, I took 2 semesters of Chinese, and I know nothing from that. So Spanish was off the table for me. But it was just super cool to see just the loving nature of them just being so kind because we were trying to. But just, I think that was Poblano's, right?
Mm-hmm.
The single greatest tacos in the world, too.
Okay, Little Caesars down there is different. Let me just tell you that. We begged, me and Dallas, he's not here, but we begged Rob the whole week to get us Little Caesars. And then he finally did.
And then I gave in.
It was awesome.
Good grief.
It was quite interesting to see. Yeah, a lot of people had got to try new things. I wasn't necessarily one of those people, but I still like the dinners that we had there at those restaurants were awesome. Tasted amazing.
Okay, I have a question. This is an aside. Because part of a trip like this, humanity is created for community and fellowship and fun. So we can have fun. I'm curious. I should have prepped you guys this, but I just thought about it. I want to know taco count. Okay? So take a moment and think. I think I know who's going to be in number 1. I'm pretty sure it's Benji. But I want you to estimate. What do you guys think? Because as Melissa said, we went for 2 reasons, and that was Jesus and tacos.
I think I know exactly.
All right, Benji, how do you think?
I had 6 the first night, the street tacos, and then the next night I had 2 tortas, and then following went to what was McDonald's or was that seafood?
Seafood.
Okay, then I had 8, or either 6 or 8, I can't remember. And then I had the
4. Did anybody do more than that? No. What I loved about having Benji was there is if we were out to eat and I wanted more, I didn't have to order alone. I'd be like, Benji, you want more? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, let's do it. It's for him.
What was my favorite? Like massive tacos. Like,
He's the growing
a lot of them.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. How many, Toby?
Well, I think I might have more than Benji. 'Cause
Whew.
the first night I had 6 tacos. Then the second night I had a torta and 3 tacos. And then the next night I had 6 tacos again. And
Yeah.
then
How many shrimp tacos did you have?
I had 3.
Tortas were bigger.
Unwillingly, I had 3.
Matt definitely ordered something different from the menu, and they just brought him more. It was
True.
great.
That did happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. That very
Matt
night.
had one of the biggest experiences of just sheer perseverance and determination.
Oh.
Of like, we're leaving in the morning. He's like, the water's not running. I'm just going to hope that it's running when we get back here after building. And all of that waiting for nothing because we get back and it was not working. So, walk of shame it was. All right, so there's some of the serving component, the taco component, all of that. The other thing that we wanted to do while we were on this experience is be able to step out from home to allow the chance to see what God is doing in another community, as well as provide a chance to learn more about him in a certain way, his heart and his will, or even take something away ourselves. And so I want to start down with Anthony. We're going to go all the way down. You can take a moment to think about it, but I want to know from everybody, what is that type of takeaway? What did you see God doing, either in the community around you at Caravan that was a real, tangible? Was there a way that God spoke to you? Did this trip affect your life in some manner like that? Something all-encompassing that. Kind of, what was the spiritual impact of this trip?
I would again say that Ensenada specifically, it was just so cool to see the church building that they were building and to know that they were going to do a VBS and that they're going to have several kids come in and that they were going to spread the good news to the community just in that way, and that we were able to come in and help them with a bunch of extra supplies as well. So, I mean, that was one way that was really awesome to see.
I learned a couple of things. Sure, I've read it before. It says, Jesus said, what good can be for a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? And when I was here, I had like my phone and car and friends to hang out with and everything. But even though I didn't have my phone and everything I have here, just going there and serving was awesome because I was mostly paying attention the above, not to this world. So that made it even more easier. And the other thing was being more surrounded with body of Christ really helps to grow in faith, and I was comfortable there just for those nights. And yeah, sure, I felt like I lost my comfort zone, but really spiritually, that was like going there was a comfort zone for me.
I think I definitely had a lot of takeaways, but one thing that stands out is just like learning about how like there's so many different ways to serve and everybody can serve in a very different way. At Caravan, I think they really emphasized like you can serve like by cleaning the dorms or just like stuff like that, and you can serve by being nice to people and the families that we built for, like they were able to serve us in like ways we didn't expect. So I think that was one of my main takeaways.
I would just ask, can you repeat what you said before?
Whoa, that's a weird takeaway. What was kind of on the more spiritual side? What was the takeaway? What are things you saw God doing in Caravan or the community? Was there a way that impacted you? Did this challenge you as far as missions or ministry? So kind of that spiritual takeaway.
I think just being much more connected and having that ease of being able to stay committed to having it easier to pray and read the Bible. It just, for some reason, it just felt so much easier to be able to make time to do that versus our day-to-day lives where sometimes people will forget to do those things.
Well, one big takeaway from me was one night, it was the very last night, Wes Scott was speaking, and he said, God's plan may be unknown but not unknowable, which is pretty cool. I don't know, that just kind of like stuck with me since then. And then one of the speakers, like I think it was the first night, was talking about how it's not about like God's plan fitting into our lives, it's our lives fitting into God's plan. Wait, that's right? Okay.
Yeah, they said, we often ask, God, what's your will for my life? When we need to be asking, what is God's will and how can I bring my life alongside and into that?
So yeah, that was my takeaways.
Yeah, those are great.
Just like what Matt said, that was a really big takeaway for me too. A lot of times I kind of like to have a plan and like control and stuff. And one of the nights I remember going to my bed and pretty much arguing with myself of like, I should like let the Lord have my life. I should really let him be in control and not make decisions for myself. But that's really hard for me because that's scary and he's going to put me in a lot of situations that are harder and I'm more uncomfortable with. So at one point I just like let go. I was like, all right, like you just do whatever you want. Like lead me and let me fit myself into your plan.
So during the week, we talked a lot about how many like language groups there are in the world that don't have a Bible translated in their language, and like they haven't heard of God at all. And so like just learning like how big of a need there is for missionaries was a big takeaway for me, kind of inspiring.
I think my biggest takeaway was the worship time we had with the other churches, because I don't think that was really planned at all. Because Journey had a couple of the interns there that first attended Journey that had musical ability and were able to play instruments, and then they brought up lyrics onto the projector, and it was really cool because they had some songs we didn't know too, but it was just, and most of the time we couldn't even see the lyrics because of how many people were in the room, but just seeing God's presence in that room, hearing all those voices echo, you could hear it at the end of the video, but it was just so encouraging to just have the voices echoing around you.
It doesn't take the impact, but it was planned. Yeah.
My biggest takeaway, just like one of the things I've implemented into my life, has been I don't so much need to worry about what I'm going to do because God has a plan, and I more so look at it as like if there's an open door, go through it, and then when that door closes, go through a different one, and so like that kind of helps lead my life a little bit, and instead of like having to like figure out what college I'm going to go to, if I'm going to go to college and stuff like that.
There were two main things for me, and I would echo what Zach said and just affirm the Lord's presence and his hand upon our trip every step of the way where, wonky stuff happens, and you can see God working those things through with us even when situations are difficult. The worship times were fantastic. You could feel God's presence with us. And that carried through into the build sites, into our forays into the community and everything. The other thing that was profound for me, even though it head knowledge-wise, that God is the same here as he is in Tijuana. We know that, but when you leave behind things within our church, issues that we're facing here, and you go to San Diego and then on to Mexico, and you see how God is working through the same issues of pride and greed and hardship and pain, and you see the methods he uses here, and and in California and in Mexico, people are the same. Culture is different. People are the same. It's amazing to see God working in all of those places, knowing that it is the same God that cares for the little thing that we have to deal with here at church, and cares for that blip with the vans down in San Diego, that cares for that poverty-stricken person that we're serving and building a house for. It's mind-blowing when you see the scope of God's care and love for each one of us, and that's amazing, and it's neat to see that reflected in the kids' hearts as they serve, as they work, as they share with interns. The stories that we heard from the interns, their testimonies and the things that they've gone through, the hardships that the people are in, the presenters that spoke to us. One woman had lost her husband on the mission field and carried through with a missions career even after that. Again, God's care and love for each one of us in the situation that we're in just shone through more than anything that we did. Just recognizing God's character was absolutely fantastic. So,
I want to open it up a little bit to see if there's any questions from those of you that are here, and you can just say from where you are, and we can answer it. If there's none, that's okay too. But I just want to open it up to see if there's any questions.
How about the response of some of the families?
Great response. What was it like? What were the families like when we were building and done? What was their response?
Well, I think the first day, the lady Sylvie, she cried when we were done building, like while we were praying, which was cool. Well, yeah, to see like the impact that it had on her life.
Yeah, basically, as what he said, yeah, most of them are super thankful, and you can see in their eyes, they were like really glad that we did that for them.
I will say there was a tangible difference this trip and last trip due to COVID. The families that we built for, definitely a little bit more reserved, a little bit unsure. And one of the things that we talked about at some point is it felt weird to say, but from the family's point of view, we're from a foreign country. And that's kind of an interesting perspective. We are going to a foreign country. You don't really think about the opposite side of that. The lady the first day was not like that at all. She was with us the whole day and talking when we were praying. She had her Bible out and she prayed as well, and that was really special. And there's usually people there. They want to see what you're doing. They're keeping an eye on things, and I think the response overall was shown through the gratitude of what was given throughout the day. But Brian, that's a perfect question because I have something that the team doesn't know about. When you talk about the response from the families, I have not heard of this happening before, but I got a package in the mail today. I got this big envelope from Caravan, which is cool. Figured it was some general letter, thanks for coming, or maybe some different things. And in it was this piece of paper with a photo of our team from Sylvie. So the lady that we built for the first day went out of her way to get this picture that we took as a team. And she wrote on it, it says, "Thank you," in Spanish, and for the families, and then a verse from Matthew and the date and where we were. You get something like this. This is special. This is an incredible testimony to your guys' service, your desire to go. But even more than that, this is a testimony to God providing in the midst of a crazy year. Crazy to plan a mission trip in COVID. Absolutely ridiculous, especially when part of it we weren't even physically meeting when the planning started. And yet God opened the doors, even as Benji said. That's one of the things that he and I talked about there, was like God opens the doors and we faithfully go through, and he continued to open the doors and allow this trip to happen. And that's a memento that I'll hold on to for a long time. I debated giving it to one of you guys, and I'll keep it. Any other questions? Anything else out there? Did you guys ever feel unsafe?
Yes, I was kind of feeling safe because we were surrounded by well, all of us were body of Christ, and I was like mostly thinking of God, but most of the time, so I kind of feel safe, to be honest.
Yeah, so safe, yeah.
The statue.
What?
The statue that we passed on the.
Oh yeah, the statue of
The
Jesus
last
that we saw. That was
No.
no.
No, the other one.
The satanic one.
Oh yeah, we passed the Satanic Temple. That was interesting, and really sad. I think the mic's dead. But yeah, we felt safe, especially being at Caravan and being able to go inside at night was really nice, and having their interns with us translating throughout the day as well helped a lot. They would come with us out to dinner. And, I guess that's another side. Those of you that gave, it also allowed us each day to invite the interns to come out with us. They're essentially self-funded missionaries, and one of the things that the directors will tell the youth pastors is you're under no obligation. It's a little bit of a guilt trip, I guess. You're under no obligation to bring the interns with you. Just know for dinner they'll probably have like a bowl of Cheerios or something. But it's a way for us to connect. We got along really well with our interns. We lucked out and had the same interns 3 days of our 4 build days, which was cool and just a good chance to connect with somebody. Any final? Well, I guess anything else? Yes, sir. I'm going to get out ahead of you guys just a second because I want to be gracious. One member of our team did experience some spiritual warfare the entire time. And if you were part of that at all, we're not going to talk about that because that's dishonoring to whoever it may be. Not to go against your question, but other things that might have gone on. I mean, there's a lot, with a trip like this, there's a lot of opportunities for that. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, first, when I got there, I felt like I had a connection with the Holy Spirit and fine, but like after works, there was some of the night kind of like having a little more temptations, stuff like that, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think that you could definitely like feel the Holy Spirit. Just when we were all worshiping together, that was really cool, and just like doing our devotions, and yeah, it was really cool.
Talk fast. I'll go get more batteries.
I think there was a little bit of spiritual warfare. The one of the interns that we worked with the first day got kind of sick afterwards, and they weren't allowed to go on anything. They were just stuck in the room. It wasn't COVID, but they were there. And then after the missions trip, I know a couple of us got sick with that like cold thing.
Hang on, I'm gonna do it twice.
You want us to clap for you again?
No.
You know that we're probably going to clap for you.
I know. I just say no. I do. This is the kind of stuff they teach you in grad school. I've worked hard. Steve taught me this my first day. Said you're gonna need it. There you go.
Okay. Well, one of the ways that we saw the Holy Spirit moving was on our final build day. We had to drive up this mountain to get to the build site. And across the street from the build site, we heard Waymaker, the song Waymaker in Spanish, and they were blasting it.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then when we were unloading wood, I kept seeing people from the neighborhood like going over there, and it seemed like they were kind of like worshiping together. And it was just really cool to see the Holy Spirit just in that one spot, like just on a mountain in Tijuana. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. The first Sunday we were in California, we went to Balboa Park, this big, incredibly gorgeous park in San Diego, and we had our own little church service. And we tried to find a quiet park, but it's a sunny summer day, so that's really difficult. And one of the other leaders was speaking, and it was interesting because there's a lot of different groups of people that walked past, and a lot of different things going on in this part of the park. And I think that was even just a spiritual component of seeing a little maybe glimpse of what we're heading into, of seeing people of different walks of life, different ethnicities, different religions, and here we are, and it's kind of that go, no-go moment away of God in a way, and this is one of the things that I felt was, if you can sit here You have to be able to sit here in a park in the States and dive into the Word together before you head into another country where you don't know what's going to happen. Was kind of a cool point and a cool time as a team. All right. Missy, you're about to raise your hand earlier.
I was just curious. So it looked from the pictures that you're a whole team
Mhm.
building. Did you build one house each day?
Yep.
Like ground to roof?
Yep.
Did you? Were they all like in the same neighborhood, or did you?
No,
go to
great
different
question.
places each day?
Yeah, so the question is, it looked like we built a house a day. What did that look like? Where were we? So when we would show up in the morning to the houses, we did build 4, so we built 1 each of our build days. The three churches overall built 16. So each build team builds 1 house. We were small enough, we were right on the edge of being too big, but being able to go and build 1 together was one of my hopes for this team, to keep the whole group together. So we built 4 homes, 1 each day. We showed up in the morning, and there was just a concrete slab that had been poured. So the backside of Caravan's ministry is going around anywhere from a week, I think, to a month in advance of the builds and leveling and pouring concrete so that there's a pad to build on. We would load lumber each night for the next day and then trim it on site as needed. So then we show up, we got a truck full of lumber, buckets full of nails, and a lot of willing hands, and a slab of concrete. And the interns, they were the ones that knew the building plan and knew the specs and led us through what needed to be cut for different types of builds. Yeah, so 4 homes, 16 total, which was really cool. And fun to be the whole crew on a job at once. Yeah, does that answer what you were asking? Cool.
And then, do you know, is there any follow-up then, like several weeks after?
That I'm not 100% sure of. I know they say that a lot of the houses, once we work on them, the families will then go through and, I don't know what the nice way they phrase it is basically fix what we did in some of the ways, but customize them a little bit more. A lot of the families, this is the 2nd or 3rd dwelling, and they may end up like pushing together and cutting new doors, but Caravan walks through the family beforehand. This is our blueprint. This is what we build. Anything after that is on the family. And I realized the other part of your first question was the same neighborhood. Not at all. All in the Tijuana area, but it would range, our 4 builds, I would say, ranged from 5 minutes from the dorms to an hour from the dorms. So it's all throughout the area. There's quite the process that Caravan goes through with families to approve of a home being built. And they handle all that on their office side. So teams were scattered all throughout Tijuana.
I guess part of my question too
Mhm.
is there a connection with the families as far as a spiritual connection or leading them?
Yep, Caravan
To a church or?
Yeah, Caravan works on that with them. We don't while we're there, but I believe there's parts of that are on the before and after part. So that's kind of steps 1 and 3. We're step 2. Caravan's working on either end of that. Yep. And they have requirements for being able to build a home, and one of the big ones is the family has to prove that they own the property, which was an interesting. I think it was one of the interns was saying that when you're down there, either the whole property is built or it's walled, because once you could basically come in and someone could start building on your land, and once they have a structure, you can't get them out. So one of the things was the families has to own the land. All Caravan, and by all Caravan, all of Northview paid for these 4 homes. So one of the challenges that Tim Westcott and I faced was about 6 weeks before the trip, Caravan gives us our invoices, and they were significantly higher than what they were. And that's, if any of you are getting any wood for anything, the price of lumber has skyrocketed, and Caravan does not have the margins to match that. And so that cost gets put on to the teams. I don't even think I told you guys that. But it was really encouraging because of the generosity that we had received. I saw that on the invoice, noticed it, sent a check, didn't even question it. And it was later, Tim and Westcott and I were on a phone call, and they were talking about it. And it was like, hey, it's no worries. Our church is sending us well, and people are giving generously. We were able to match that. So the families financially don't contribute. Yeah, we pay for it all. It's about Each home was just about $1,000 for materials and everything, and then a couple $100 to Caravan for other fees per person. Yeah. Anything else?
I think it's good to know that when you go down to Caravan, they are linked to the other churches in
Mhm.
the area. And so there's a relationship with the people they reach out to so that they try to incorporate them into the churches that already exist down there. And a lot of them are, it used to be called the Baptist General Conference, which are now Converge Northwest.
Mhm.
And so there are other missionaries down there that are not Converge that are planting churches, and then these people are shepherding
Yeah.
those churches. So it doesn't just hang with a house and then you're done.
Yeah. And I talked to one of the board, or two of the board members from Caravan came, and they were two of the people that shared. And I talked to them at one point, and almost the entire board of directors for Caravan are all in ministry in Southern California, or in Central and Southern California, and many of them at Converge churches, which is really special. They said, I don't know California. They told me where they were, and I said, oh, I don't know. We're in Tijuana. They're like, oh, we're in California in the high desert. Some of you know where that is. I'm in Tijuana. I'm like, are you from here? Like, I don't know what the high desert is, but that's where some of them are from. But yeah, Converge Connected, Converge Planning, they're doing work. We don't hear about it as much up here because the churches in California are not with Converge Northwest. But they're still family. We still love them. Anything else? Anything else that anyone on the team has been wanting to share or hoping to share? Brian, did you have a question for anybody in particular? Josh came home very fulfilled. He said, I got to serve people and I didn't really have to talk, unless I made him talk, and then he told me that wasn't cool. Anything else, guys? Yes.
I was wondering, like, what we see on television for buildings for the homeless,
Mhm.
what are they doing for sanitation and water and electricity? Anything?
Like, for the homes we built, we don't run any, the work projects we're doing, we're not running any electrical or water for them. Most of the families are connected in some manner of speaking to the electrical and water grid, or however that is in Tijuana. Like some of the crew mentioned, the water was getting shut off frequently because of the drought situation and wanting to conserve water, and the same thing happens frequently to the power there. So not a lot of, like I said, one person brought out a power tool, and that was great for the little bit that it lasted. But that's not something that we were doing, and I don't know how much of that Caravan does on their end. I've built other projects with other ministries in Ensenada, and we ran power to homes, and it was a whole nother thing. But most of the families are already connected in some way.
What are they doing for sanitation?
That I'm not really sure of. Yeah. I know that COVID regulations, at least on that regard, felt very similar to here when we were out and about. A lot of masks, a lot of distancing and similar things, which I guess we didn't really talk about. That was also kind of an interesting connect point of home and away. It was a big realization to me. I was like, I think the first thing in human history that has transcended all culture is the mask. And that was kind of an interesting wake-up call and saying, if we can get a piece of fabric to fly around the world, surely we can get the name of Jesus out there to every culture. But as far as the others, like sanitation and other regards, I'm not really sure. I know a lot of the families had restroom facilities that some of the team used. I'm proud of myself. I'm 8 for 8 builds without using a restroom on the job site, so that's what I'm going to try to keep doing. Anything else? Anything else from you guys? Cool. Well, hey, let me close for us in prayer, and I want to say once again, thank you for the ways that you trusted us, whether it was allowing myself, Melissa, and Shannon to take your kids during this time and lead them through this trip, whether you gave financially, trusting that we would use it for what we said we would, and the ways that you guys just have blessed us. And it's been really humbling and really encouraging in the midst of a difficult season to see a church rally, to see this team serve. And I think the heart of this team for me is wrapped up in the final memory of the trip for me, and that was one night. It was just our team. I think it was the second or third night, and we go to sit down in this corner of a meeting room together, and Dallas just starts playing the guitar, and the team just worships. Unplanned, unprepared, raw, beautiful, incredible worship. After a full day of serving, a group of teens worshiping Jesus. Even outside of my role here at the church, it really, as a follower of Jesus, really doesn't get much more fulfilling than that. Thank you for allowing an opportunity like that to happen. Thank you for allowing the different stories that were shared to happen in these experiences. This is not a one and done. This is an opportunity for them to grow and take what they did in Mexico and learn and grow and impact Northview, impact our community, and ultimately impact the world. Let's pray before the Lord as we close. Jesus, thank you seems to be the only thing that I know how to say right now. I just thank you for leading us through this trip, for allowing it to happen, to providing, to bringing the team together, Lord, an incredible team of students that desire to serve. And Lord, I thank you for the opportunities that we had in Mexico to build, to bond, to worship, to study, to pray, to listen. Lord, this was an incredible opportunity. May none of the team squander that. May we take what we've learned, what we've seen and experienced forward into this life, Lord. When we read the Great Commission, may the word go have a new impact for us. Lord, may you call some of this team into active missions, either here or abroad, Lord, and may you equip the rest to send those that go. May we not be a group that disobeys that call. Thank you for the people that supported, who prayed, who gave, who trusted, Lord. May this trip have been a blessing to you. In your Son's incredible name, amen. Thank you guys for coming. There are still some milk and cookies in the back. Thanks, guys.